Did you hear about the news that housing starts in Toronto slowed down by 52% in January? Declining housing starts would be a major issue for housing affordability, especially with their massive immigration targets. But is it really true? As a spoiler alert, I'd cautiously say that it's not as bad as it sounds, but their overall theme is probably still correct, and I'll be diving into all of this in this video. But before I go on, check this out. This is a heads up that you can get our complete Toronto real estate investing guide for free on our website. You can see things like a breakdown of typical costs, rents, appreciation, sample financials that you can change up to see how it affects your returns, and even try out a quiz to see what might fit you best. I'll put a link to the free guide in the description below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss other content like this made just for real estate investors in Toronto. If we look more carefully at the 52% month-over-month housing starts slowdown in Toronto, we can see that December actually had an unusually high number of housing starts. And so comparing any average number to last December's number might not be the best metric. On top of this, January housing starts tend to be slower due to seasonality, and so that can make the month-over-month change even more drastic. But it's still very possible that this January number is lower because housing starts are slowing down. There's a lot of signs pointing to this. Builders are holding back on construction because the cost of borrowing is now much higher, and now selling prices have also dropped, so it's hard to make a decent profit. So even though it's still too soon to tell from 1 month of housing starts data, we definitely need to monitor housing start trends to make sure it grows in line with our growing population. But how much new supply would be enough? CMHC tells us that we would need around 3.5 million new housing units by 2030 to meet our rising demand. And the worst part is that we just don't have enough labor resources to get this done. That's pretty scary, so let's try to fact check this. Our government targets around 500,000 new immigrants per year, and so by 2030, that might be another 3.5 million people coming into Canada. But not every single person needs their own housing unit. On average, each household has 2.5 people, which actually means that we need 1.4 million new housing units by 2030, or around 200,000 new housing units per year. Based on January's adjusted annual housing starts number, we're still okay for now as long as we don't continue to slow this down. It's also worth noting that growth by province also matters. The influx of immigrants into Ontario has actually been increasing, and if this trend continues, that would put more strain on affordability in Ontario specifically. But if more immigration ends up shifting to the prairies, that might end up easing affordability in Ontario. Obviously, I'm a bit biased choosing to live in Toronto myself, and so I feel Ontario definitely has more of a draw compared to the prairies in the long run. But if you look at the better projected GDP and the lower cost of living in the prairies, they do have an advantage for the next year or so for sure. I think when it comes down to it, housing starts for major builders like condos will come if it ends up being profitable. And right now, things are just stalling because it's not. Rents have been climbing, but because interest rates have been on a steeper upward trajectory up, that's putting a damper on condo investor demand and selling price. Basically, once interest rates start to stabilize, either prices will have to come down or we'll have to continue to see rents rise more to make rent yields good enough to attract condo investors again, which will then help builders speed up their pace of builds. So just to recap, here's what might happen once interest rates start to stabilize. Rents will lead first and prices will follow, and eventually supply will go up, which will then slow down rents and price growth. And so if we do want more stability to come sooner, we'll need faster ways to create new housing instead of just relying on the big developers. Currently, 50% of immigrants go to Ontario, with 20% going to the city of Toronto specifically, and so we'll need around 20,000 new homes per year to accommodate Toronto's demand alone. There's around 400,000 low-rise homes in Toronto, and if only 1% of those homes create 2 new units each year, that's already 8,000 new units, or 40% of that annual supply growth that's needed. This is why our governments are focusing a lot of attention to boost housing on this front. If you've watched our previous videos, you'll know our stance. Freehold investment numbers already make sense, and so we don't suspect prices to come down more as long as interest rate expectations don't change much from this point. And so moving forward, we'll likely see 2 cases that will benefit freehold investors who are already hanging onto freehold properties. 1, freehold prices might stay stable in the short term, and so rising rents will mean improving rent yields, which is a good thing. Or 2, better rent might drive more investor demand, which means faster appreciation, which is also good for those buying now. Of course, investing in freehold properties in Toronto isn't that simple for beginners. And so if you do want to learn more about these opportunities, our team is here to help you out. We're a real estate sales brokerage that focuses on investing in houses and multifamily homes in Toronto, and here's how it's like to work with us. First, we'll do a discovery call with you so we get to know each other more and help you get your financing ready, and then we'll teach you how to analyze deals. Once you're set, our sales team will work with you to find the best opportunities on the market and eventually help you buy the best one for you. Houses typically need a bit of renovations, and we'll help you with a detailed scope of work and contractor connections. And then once you're ready to rent out the place, we also have leasing and property management services if you need it. So if you want to learn more about any of this, just head over to our website at the link down below. Again, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and look for us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn if you want to hear from us more regularly. You can also head over here to check out our other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next video.